So today we'll talk a little about some of these oxymorons about how to be creative with FDA. It's sort of actually possible now. We do a lot of innovation and entrepreneurship type stuff within the company, especially in the area of software. So the biggest issue in getting something to happen is getting how do people change things. So you'll be amazed now that FDA is actually changing. And we'll talk a little bit about today about how FDA is in part ahead of the industry in innovation. Not everybody at FDA, for sure, but they are committed to novel things. In fact, I sit on the executive committee of the Clinical Trials Transformation Initiative, which is a public-private partnership with Duke and FDA. And basically, we have all the stakeholders in clinical research, from patient advocates, IRBs, NIH, industry, medical devices, et cetera, et cetera. And the whole idea is what's important to patients. It's a very interesting concept. A colleague of mine at Lilly says I put on my patient glasses all the time now. And FDA is starting to think about what's in the best interest of patients, what endpoints actually matter to patients, and not so much endpoints that may matter to even the clinicians or FDA. So there's a revolution going on right now. One example is in Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. I'm no expert clearly in the area, but FDA has walking time, like they have for certain diseases, like COPD. But the kids who have it, they want to be able to type in Facebook. So they want to know how well their typing has improved. And they don't care at all about how well they walk. So we'll talk about some of these creativity things, and we'll do some of the boring things too. Because with all the entrepreneurial stuff, you still got to get your product to the market, and the regulators can be your partner, or they can be in the way. So just very briefly, this was said, we do this work with regulatory and clinical development, but we also do paperless clinical trials. So when you deal with FDA, the most important thing, you have to have a philosophy and approach. That's just who I am. I get philosophical at times. So first you have to have a good medicine. So what you have to have has to make sense from a medical point of view. You have to have good science. Really, it's really important. Then you got to deal with the regulators, because no matter how brilliant you are. And for academic folks, because we do translational stuff with SUNY Stony Brook and with our friends at Rutgers. Okay. And with Jeff and Diane. And so you have to understand is that academia is not the same as pharmaceuticals and drug development. And I always give the example, the best thing to do when you do these translational projects, and Dean Amlin knows this because we've talked about it, is you need to have a door where your researchers are on one side, because we need the basic researchers, it's critical. But once something is decided to get commercialized, and you want to do things even within the institution, which I think is a really good thing, you need to close the door to the decision-making capabilities of the inventors. Use them as resources, but because they're really smart, they always think they have a better way of developing a product. And often, when you develop a product, it's counterintuitive. So they may come and say, do this, do that, and then they're actually wrong. One company we're working with, they complained that all the animals were dying when they were doing the experiments, and the reason was that they were infusing the peptide too fast. So they were getting infusion reactions, and the animals were dying. And I said, do it slowly. And comes back a couple of weeks later, says, Jules, you're a genius. And I'm not a genius, but he said, you're a genius, the animals are doing great, and the drugs are working, and everybody's happy. So we're going to get into this, is don't think you can do it yourself. So the team is really important. We have discovery people, and that's the scientists. You can't live without them, and it's critical. You got to deal with marketing folks, okay? Clinical folks, legal, you see? I even put the lawyers here, and I didn't plan it. It actually is very important, because you have to have all these aspects locked in, because any one can ruin your project, anyone. Then you have to deal with toxicology, regulatory, and a lot of people don't realize that FDA is also a partner. We can get FDA, we meaning those who know how to work with them, they can get them on the phone, they can respond to emails, all that stuff. You can reach them, depending on what the issue is. But in fact, I've gotten calls. I mean, I have some of the regulatory for me now, of course now, but we'll get a call, you know, Glenn's not around, we need some help because FDA is calling target health. And so they are reachable. So you have to have a development philosophy, is don't waste time, because time is money. And one of the dilemmas of working with academia is that they're not in quite a rush, as we are in the industry. Some of our clients, you don't want to be there. Okay? Plan very carefully, because for every hour that you plan, you save 10 hours of chaos. Execute meticulously, replan. Don't be afraid to replan. It's really important. This is anything that you're doing in business, okay? Do only what you need to do for FDA. The problem is some people do too much, especially, again, people coming from a very scientific background. They want to have, someone told me, like 100 secondary or tertiary endpoints. Probably should have 2 or 3, one primary endpoint, 2 or 3 secondaries, and leave the rest for some other time. And also hire the people who want to get the job done. Also, it's going to cost more than you think. It's going to take longer than you think, right? But it's worth it if it works. And our biggest problem with most people is they all want to start very quickly. And I say it's not when you start, it's when you end. They want to tell everybody, do a press release, you know, so-and-so, so the stock price will go up. But I have an MBA in financial economics, and I learned that there are 3 stakeholders in a company. It's the employees, the customers, and then the bottom of the list for me is the stockholders. Because most of the time they just want make their money, and that may not be in your best interest for a company. That's another discussion. So just quickly, and I want to get to the innovative part, and then I'll stop this in 20 minutes. So there are ways of finding things out about FDA. You can go through FOI, but that takes a long time. There's something called FOI services, so you can actually pay for documents. Usually you can find them yourself if you know how to look for them. FDA has a small business helpline, and the FDA has databases. So it's actually, they have one of the best websites, business websites in the world. And if you want to give them advice, they'll actually listen to you. But you can go online and you can find almost anything you need. So if you want to develop a drug, you can go to NDAs approved, and you'll see everything that Janssen or Roche did to get something approved. And the websites, the FDA.gov is a fantastic website. Sometimes we go to CDC, NIH, and of course we tell people, have these investments in one. FDA, for those who don't know, and we'll go quickly. So they have basically 4 branches. One, we don't usually deal with the food group. So look, we have CEDAR, which is the drug evaluation research. And we have the biologics, and there's been some reorganization. And then they have devices. I told FDA they shouldn't have these divisions, though they don't always listen to me. They probably should have cardiology, and diseases rather than divisions, but that's the way it is. And then we have all kinds of abbreviations. So we heard say earlier an IND, investigation, new drug application. So it takes a while to get to know what these abbreviations mean, but you get it after a while. When I first joined the industry, I was overwhelmed, but within 6 months you learn these things. And some pharma companies, we work with one that has abbreviations for everything. And you have to sit there and you have to say, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, and then we have all kinds of forms we have to do with FDA. And famous form 1571 is when you make a submission. 1572 is when you talk about the investigator. So FDA has all these things for you, not too complicated. 483 is when they have a finding, which we won't get into that. And then the NDA form. I wrote a limerick, a paper I published, it's on our website last month, and I put a limerick about when you get a 483, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to lose my job? That's the end of me, or something like that. And FDA actually reviewed the article. I didn't want to do it without FDA. It's called the myths about FDA Form 483. Form FDA 483. So that's the finding. So this is the buzzword. So let's talk about innovation, and then we'll wind it down. So if you go to the FDA website, they have innovation. And they have a group dealing with innovation. And I was on the phone this week with Clinical Trial Transformation Initiative. I'm on a registry working group. And basically, we had FDA on the phone, and a couple of people, and I had some discussions with FDA. And here's an innovation that FDA learns. In cardiology, cardiologists here, we work with adhesion prevention in cardiovascular surgery using little kids undergoing the Norwood procedures. And so the Society of Thoracic Surgeons has a database. So for the first 30 days, and I'm no expert, but you can talk to some people there. First 30 days with that type of surgery, they record everything manually. They don't move it from the EHR at this point, to the best of my knowledge. Anything happens after 30 days, it's not related to the surgery. So what FDA said, this is the cardiology group, this is unofficial. They would like to use, there are 6 registries that FDA likes in cardiology. And they would like to use these registries for pre-approval databases to get a product, for unapproved products to get them approved. So that you would just plug in your device, let's say a new valve or something, into that database, so it's like a point-of-care clinical trial. You continue what you were doing, what you would normally do, whether it's an approved product, but they would just put the investigational drug in. That's sort of a point-of-care clinical trial. You can do those things at the VA, because they have one database for the VA. So there's an area of innovation, and they have innovation in regulatory sciences. I think the Clinical Trials Transformation Initiative, which was just refunded by FDA, and Duke is really happy now they got all these project managers and all this payroll and overhead. But they're actually doing a pretty good job. So there is a commitment to innovation. And I will tell you that in the software group, FDA issued 2 guidance documents. One is on eSource, that you don't have to write it down on a piece of paper first and then transcribe it into a database. And they're telling everybody to do it, and nobody wants to do it except us. We're one of the few people willing to do it. And the other is risk-based monitoring, where you don't have to go check every number and make sure everything is there. Just find out what's critical, and people still don't know how to do it. So FDA, EMA, which is the European equivalent, is actually ahead in innovation. And they don't understand why the industry says, I'm worried that if you come and inspect us, you're going to make a finding and then turn my drug down. And the reality is actually FDA, I was at a meeting with FDA, we were having a one-on-one conversation, and I said, tell us why you turn things down. And they said, we just wrote a paper on it, and it has nothing to do with the pharmaceutical industry checks. So you really didn't follow the protocol, where you had a problem with randomization. It's not whether someone was born in 1952 or 1953. Okay. So I want to finish with these 4 concepts of fast track, accelerated approval, priority review, and breakthrough therapy. And what I did is I put these website names, so whoever gets the slides, you can find them easily. But you actually went on the website, your website, just type in any of these, it will take you to the right place. So what's fast track? So I'll do these 4 things. So fast track emphasizes the critical nature of something, of close early communication with FDA, so that they're sort of committed to talk to you. Okay, you can get fast track designation. It's also very good for your press releases, because that's also business, if you get fast track. It adds to existing programs, so it's on top of anything else that they're going to work with you on. But you can also do a rolling submission, which means, let's say your chemistry is done, but your clinical trial is not done, you can actually start your FDA submission. We did this with Gaucher disease. I was from Protalis. I was licensed at Pfizer. We started the NDA submission about a year before the formal end of the clinical trial, so we have to get data to FDA for their review. And FDA I put the 60 days to let you know that they do respond, and so they tell you when we're going to respond. And that's one of the good things now. FDA has to commit of when they're actually going to respond to you. Accelerated approval this is really terrific. This one, they'll let you get it approved if it's a surrogate endpoint. Right now, cholesterol is a surrogate endpoint. Glucose, believe it or not, is a surrogate endpoint, okay, for the disease. Because there's an association with certain events with, let's say, cholesterol or glucose with clinical endpoints, but you may not have that endpoint yet, okay, especially with the new biotechnology and new endpoints. So FDA will say that if you have a surrogate that everybody agrees makes sense, and you can show that surrogate to work, okay, then we may approve you based on the surrogate. But then you actually have to do additional clinical trials, and once all that confirmatory stuff works, but you can make some money, then FDA will grant traditional approval. If not, they'll take you off the market. But I think that's a really good thing. The other is priority review, and that means they can actually approve you faster. Normally it takes theoretically around 10 or 12 months to get FDA approval. But if you get a priority review, because there's something unusual with your product, where there's an unmet need, they can actually review things quicker. And they actually can. And we were at a meeting recently on Fabry disease. I know some people well in the GI division. And one guy's actually used to be at Janssen. And After the meeting, he said to me, he says, you know, we really like your product. I'm going to try to help you get this approved. And what they did is they told us, don't do the phase 1 study in normal volunteers. So they were actually afraid of developing an antibody to the enzyme in normals. They said, go do your studies, and the first studies in patients. And we're working on the toxicology, so once they're in the study, they'll stay on the drug till approval. And they volunteered that to us, you know, so they really work with you. If you don't come in like an idiot, you know, and I'm not going to go, because we only have 20 minutes, I won't go how to work with FDA. That'll be another slide, another presentation. You can't go in stupid, you can't go in unprepared, and you can't ask them, what should I do? You know, they won't actually talk to you. So that's priority review. And the last is breakthrough therapy, where in this case what they'll do is they may allow you to get approved based on early clinical data. Not surrogates, but early clinical data. So if you have a very rare disease and they see some signal, so for example with Gaucher, we didn't get breakthrough, but we went right from phase 1 to phase 3. So we didn't do phase 2 because it was either going to work or it wasn't. There was no sense. It was only going to be 30 or 40 people anyway, so what the hell? You know, how many more can you do? So breakthrough therapy. So these are the innovative things that FDA is, and just to wind it down, is that talk to them. You can actually talk to them. And that was the next part of my slide, but when you do talk to them, get somebody who knows how to talk to them. The same way you're an expert in whatever you do, you're not going to be an expert in everything. But bringing the team that knows it, who knows their language, who knows what they're going to be upset about, because it is, when I first joined the industry, I worked at Wyatt at Pfizer, my good friend Ron Korn, who's on your staff here, and our chief medical officer. It was all counterintuitive. Everything that we thought was right was wrong. But when you actually think about it, it actually makes sense. So there are more slides here, but I think to respect the time, I got 5 minutes. Oh, 5 minutes more? Oh, well, it says 5 more. Okay. So okay. So just go like, you know. All right. Some people say I talk too much, so here I was willing to stop talking. Right? So people who know. Okay, so sometimes when you, especially now with these new products, you don't even know where your product belongs with. We're working now with a really neat device that gives off some kind of gas that's therapeutic, and we want to make it a device, or a combination drug device, but we want the primary reviewers to be in devices for 2 reasons. One is devices only require 1 pivotal trial and 1 preliminary study, okay, pilot study. And drug people can make you crazy. So what they did is, because sometimes they don't know, it's also the drug people, they don't really understand devices and some indications. So what you do, sometimes something's on, and what they did, by the way, is after they approved it as a device, they changed their mind. So we're having negotiations with them. So sometimes it's obvious where something belongs. Clearly, you know, you have a small molecule, you're going to treat cancer or something. You know where it belongs. You can call FDA if somebody knows who they are. And we have sometimes, we didn't know sometimes where something belonged to us. So we'd ask someone we know at FDA, can you tell us who we should call in some other division? So you get a name and say, hello, how are you? You could do a request for designation. There is an Office of Combination Drug Products and also areas where you can request this. If it's a combination product, who should be the primary reviewer? Sometimes you don't want to ask FDA. Sometimes you just want to send it in, let them tell you no. They will tell you no, and they have 30 days or so to tell you no. But they will sometimes change their mind. Okay. So working with FDA, how to prepare for a meeting, how to conduct a meeting, make sure they're part of your development team. So I said, you know, then we got a lawyer here, so you go to your lawyer, you go to us and find out. Well, but make sure you have a regulatory professional, and anytime you do development work, make sure there's someone in your company that actually knows the process. At least one person, even if you outsource it, there has to be someone who knows what they're doing, and who could also defend you to the investors and all these other people when they start getting upset. How come something's not done on Tuesday? You need someone in the company who can say, no, this is the way it works, and there's no way to do it differently. Okay? So there are things like summary basis of approval, so you can really go and see what someone else has done in both the devices and drugs. It's very transparent. All they do is they black out anything that could be confidential. But basically, the things that we used to spend a lot of time doing, if you can read, if you have experience and you can read, it's one thing. And if you can read but don't have experience and work with someone, within 6 months you get, or a year, you get pretty much up to speed. Okay. So always call FDA, we said this, discuss the project. You can talk with FDA about a meeting. Sometimes they'll tell you it's not necessary, okay? And do initial finding and then meeting, okay? I think we can stop now.